The technology, man.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the You Are Worthy Network. So good to be with you on, I think it's Tuesday. It's been one of those weeks already, but happy Tuesday to everybody. Great to see you. I don't know if you guys realize this, and certainly we'll celebrate it when the time actually does come, which I anticipate it'll be in less than a week, maybe before the weekend, but we're approaching 10,000 members in this group right now. We're at 9,500 and change, and I appreciate each one of you. And I never want to look at it as just a number because behind those numbers are hearts, our souls, our personalities, our people. You may be running the gamut right now. There's people watching this that are at their low of lows, and our
Mm,
hearts go out to them.
yeah.
Could be in a place of, yeah, whatever, meh. Or you could be in the high of highs. But wherever you're at on the journey, you matter. Wherever you're at on the journey, you're worthy. And wherever you're at on the journey, I assure you, if you got up this morning, you got air in your lungs, God's not done with your story yet. So be encouraged by that. I'm excited that we're going to eclipse 10,000 people, but I'm also super excited to introduce you to our guest today. And I think you're going to find, well, I like to predict these things just a smidge. And then you'll find that obviously there was a lot more to the guest than what I predicted. But I think you're going to find Hollie extremely engaging, extremely kind, and extremely talented, just for starters. Okay, enough about me trying to introduce her. Hollie Mileski is the creator of the Highjump Leadership Method and author of the Be the Leader You Would Follow. She works with entrepreneurs and professionals to clarify their identity, craft powerful messages, and lead with a presence that elevates every room they're in. With appearances alongside notable leaders Suzanne Summers and astronaut Buzz Aldrin, as well as features on CBS and Fox, Hollie brings both heart and strategy to modern leadership. Hollie, we're so excited to have you today. Welcome to the You Are Worthy Network.
That sounds so nice when you say that, Steve, and I just so appreciate you having me here today.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know. Different people say different things when I read their bio. Like they'll say things like you, or I had one a few days ago, like that was hard to listen to. I'm like, why? It's your bio. You should be excited. You've accomplished a lot, but it really is good to have you with us. And you know, one of the blessings, one of the many blessings of having a group that is exploded like this is eventually over the next 30 days our interview is up in Facebook. um there's going to be people watching it from around the world, and
Mhm.
so obviously I interview a lot of folks from the United States, but it's starting to branch out. Canada a lot. I've got one scheduled for France, but I just don't want people to assume everybody's in the States, but you happen to be in the States. Tell us what part of the world you're coming from today.
I get to enjoy waking up to Newport Beach, California, and I like living in sunny Southern California.
Yeah, I'd always heard great things about Newport Beach. And then when you and I had a discovery call, whatever it was, 3 or 4 weeks ago, you definitely confirmed all the rumors are true, that it is that beautiful.
Gee, but since you and I talked, we did have like an anomaly like about a week ago when all that weather pattern was coming through. We do get rain, and around this time of the year is when we do get rain, but it was wind and it was blowing left to right. I felt like I was almost in the middle of a blizzard in Colorado or somewhere, and it was crazy.
That's bizarre, especially for California.
Yeah.
But you haven't been there all your life, have you?
No, I grew up in North Carolina and Virginia, and so I'm an East Coaster transplant, but I have been in California now for about 20 years, and I enjoy it. I've had the privilege of It's truly a privilege to live and travel to a lot of different places in the world. I lived in the Netherlands for a year. I lived in Atlanta. I've traveled through Canada and the US, but also a lot through Europe and even down to like South Africa and Brazil, excuse me, Argentina, not Brazil. And the thing that I love about travel, I just want to tell you about that, and being able to be exposed to so many different languages and so many different people, is there is a common human currency about how people exist, and we have so much more in common than we actually think we do. I know there's a lot of stuff in the news right now where people are all in arms about some of our Olympics participants and some of their statements. But what I have really, really learned is instead of really kind of judging that, is really kind of starting to look at the people from all these different countries that get to come together and unite in a common activity and just celebrate each other. And most people that I've encountered on my travels function from that space.
Yeah, that is a great point about unity and connectedness. And
Hmm.
it's like, it's funny you brought up the Olympics because I was texting with a friend the other day and I said, this is the first time I ever remember. I have not seen 1 second of the Olympics, which it means I'm
Wow.
too busy actually, because I enjoy that aspect of it that you just said and the sportsmanship and the competition, but the coming
Mhm.
together for a common cause. I did get to see the replay of the U.S. Winning the gold medal in hockey, which was nice to see. But yeah, you're
Men
so
or
right.
women, men or women.
Did the women win also?
Also, same thing. Yep.
Wow, that's so awesome. So awesome. Go USA. So, all you guys watching around the world, I do got to still support the home country, of course. Um I so I'd like to take you back in time a little bit. I like doing this. I've started doing it lately, and I'd like to do it with you. It gets into the mindset of where you were at this point in time in your life. So let's go back to your senior year of high school.
Mm.
And let's say you've got 2 weeks left till you walk across the stage.
Mm.
So you've got the cap, you've got the gown, you may have had a class ring. You're counting down the days on the calendar, marking them off. You got the big day circled. You know, it is senior Holly. Is she excited and can't wait for those next 14 days? Can't wait to get that diploma and get out of there. You got senior itis to the max.
Mm.
You know where you're going. You know what you're going to do. You know what you're going to conquer. Or is it more the other way? Is it, I'm going to miss all these teachers, all my friends. I love high school. It's been such a highlight of my life. Tell us what's going on in your mind at that time.
Oh gosh, that's a fun one, and I haven't even really thought about that one for a while. First of all, when I was a senior in high school, I took a lot of pressure off myself. I made grades back then, and it wasn't necessarily the authentic me, but I made really good grades in the sense that I was smart, didn't know what I wanted to do in the world just yet. That's the inauthenticity piece. But the ability just to go, I got myself enrolled in a university, so I didn't have the pressure in my senior year of where am I going to be next fall. I took that, I knew by October before I graduated where I was going to be. So I got to
Mhm.
relax. I got to enjoy my senior year. And I did a couple of interesting things leading up to graduation. We had an exchange program. I lived in small town USA. I was in Bassett, Virginia. It's in the southwest part of Virginia, north of Greensboro, south of Roanoke. We had about 110 people in my graduating class. You can still hear the accent. I haven't lost it. And I got to go on an exchange trip to New York. I was staying with a family in Scranton, New York, just outside of New York City, and small town girl in the city. This was like, woo, a whole new environment. We had
Yes.
we had lunch on the top of in Windows of the World, top of the World Trade Center. Then we go to dinner in Chinatown, and then we go to dessert in Little Italy. I actually went to, I'm dating myself for a moment, but I went to Studio 54 and got to check that out in the day. We ended up at a Hard Rock Cafe. I didn't even know what that was about, but it was all cool and exciting. We went to Catch a Rising Star, which was a speakeasy style comedy club. We've got all these girls sitting on the front row, and this is the grandfather clause was in effect, raising the drinking age from like 19 to 21 because we weren't 21 yet, we were in high school, but we were able to get in for this performance. Rodney Dangerfield walks in off the sidewalk. So we've got all this stuff going on in my life. So I'm excited. I'm starting to explore the world. So I think the state of mind that I was in at that stage was I'm having a great time my senior year, and I'm really excited to go figure out what else is out there. And that to me was exciting and hopeful. I had no clue what I was going to do as an adult. No clue. I had no interest necessarily defined. And the university, I went to Virginia Tech and I got enrolled in their electrical or in their engineering program. I didn't know what an engineering program was going to create in terms of job opportunity. I didn't even know if I wanted to be there for that. And but that's what I did. I just kind of followed some rules, followed some steps, but then I had this boom of things that were opening up for me, and I wanted to check.
Well, that's a great place to be in your senior year of high school, and that, you get to experience some of the world right after that, and
Hmm.
culture and all that it has to offer. So, so you graduate Virginia Tech? Do you do anything with the engineering degree, or do you go a whole different direction?
I sort of went a different direction. So I
Okay.
this is actually, and this is an important question, and it really relative to the topic of you are worthy. So up until this point in my life, we were given a roadmap. In that time in our society, it was work hard, play hard, get a good job. A lot of people would go to work for a company and work their entire lives at that company. And as I went through the engineering program that I went through, I'm like, this isn't really grabbing me. I couldn't see myself in a manufacturing facility. I mean, I did some interviews with a company to do time studies, and I just thought that was going to be boring as all get out. And when I was actually looking for that new opportunity when I was graduating, I actually started listening to something here. I'm pointing to my chest intentionally because instead of trying to logically say, oh, I made good grades, I'm good in math, I should be in engineering, there's not a lot of women, and logically I could make my mark. That's the logical approach that I had been on. I started going, that doesn't feel right. What's going to inspire me? What's going to like give me something to thrive every day? And I ended up taking a marketing role. I was still in an engineering discipline. I was in the electrical equipment industry to start off my career. But I went into marketing, and that was the best decision I could have made. No one that I knew was urging me to do that. I had to trust my own instinct. And I think that was the very first time in my life where I learned to consciously do that. And it was powerful.
You're talking about referring to listening to your heart.
Yeah, listening to my heart,
Yeah.
listening to what I really wanted in life. And I still didn't even know what that really meant. I just knew that I needed to be around people and that doing something that benefited people was what gave me energy. And that was important.
Okay. All right. So
Joy.
marketing, joy. Yeah. Uh, marketing for a specific company because you're not into the entrepreneur waters quite yet, right?
Oh no, I have multiple career paths along my
Okay.
particular journey. This was an entry level thing. I went into marketing in the electrical equipment industry. My first company was Westinghouse. And and I got to do all this training up in Philadelphia, and got to meet all these people. If you know people from Philly, they love Philly, and Westinghouse was the premier thing. They hadn't started selling off all the branches just yet, but I was on the front end of that. And the branch of their business that I actually was employed by did sell to a Saya Brown Boveri, a European company that took over all of their transformer division. And they were at the time starting to get out of certain things and shift around before they kind of broke off a little bit, their powerhouse, because they were a powerhouse back in the day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
Okay. you've got these various career paths that you take over the years.
Hmm.
Give us a glimpse into your first taste of entrepreneurship.
Mm. Let's talk about the catalyst,
Okay.
because this might be very relevant to people. So the quick cliff notes, I was in sales and marketing and electrical equipment, went back to grad school, came out, got into consulting, and was working in the pharmaceutical industry sector. And this was fun. So I'm working on the marketing and sales side of things, even within consulting. I'm traveling and living in Europe. I'm in Canada. I'm here across the states, anywhere from New York out here to California. That's kind of what got me to California. And there was a company that I started working with where I was not a fit. On
Mm.
paper, it sounded really good. So PricewaterhouseCoopers was getting back into the consulting business. Great name. They have a great reputation. It was an audit house that was re-entering the consulting space, and they wanted to grow their presence in the pharmaceutical industry sector on the West Coast. And I was going to be the number three person in the practice, all that type of thing. It sounded great. Strategically, it sounded so smart. But life intervenes for things that are totally out of our control
Yep.
sometimes. So between the day I accepted the position after all my interviews, all my agreements, and the day I started day one on the job, here's what happened. They had a reorg. The man I was going to work for was no longer in that position. All the agreements that I had with him, some of them were verbal, some of them were written, but some of them that were important were verbal. And day one, I show up at PricewaterhouseCoopers. They didn't even know I was supposed to be there.
Oh.
And two to 3 weeks into that experience, I actually knew it wasn't the place for me, but I didn't listen to that voice. And here's what happened. I'm going to Amgen, which is a client that I knew very well. And it was an opportunity for me to really get to know a lot of people in my new company and build those relationships because I didn't know a lot of people when I went there to work. I knew the reputation of the company. I'm at the client at Amgen, and this woman walks up to me. She's a partner in the company, and she's like, "Don't get too excited here because I'm sending you somewhere else." And in my gut, I knew that was off. In my gut. But I was a people pleaser at that stage. Ha 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 ha. And I just said, we can talk about that later. I'm glad to meet you. I'm glad to be here. And I sort of self-sabotaged myself in this moment.
Mm.
At that stage in my career, I was really in control of what clients I worked with, what projects I worked with. I was out selling work, and she put me into a different box. She put me into a pawn box. And instead of me sitting there and saying, well, I'm going to call her Jane. Hi, Jane. It's really great to meet you, but we don't know each other. So why don't we sit down and have that conversation to make sure that we're making the right strategic choice about where I can best add value? That would have been a
Mhm.
much stronger position. And I feel like my experience was I self-sabotaged myself enough to create an immediate energetic signature, and I'm going to use that word importantly because it'll arc later. But the energetic signature that I gave confirmed that I was the pawn in the game. And I spent 4 years there trying to excel and make things work because I had always been an A-plus performer. I was paid more. I had a lot of autonomy on where I went to work. I had clients, even with that company, even with PwC, clients who loved the way I worked way better than my peers. And that was even a ding on my reputation within PwC because I was promoting myself and not the company. It was their perception. So
Mm.
nothing right or wrong here at the end of the day, but it wasn't my fit, but it was my catalyst. And in that moment, or somewhere along the 4 year journey, there were a couple of different stages where I knew things weren't working. But I started thinking about what's missing here. Why is this not working where I've been super successful in other places? What's not working in terms of how we teach leadership? I was part of global training teams in my prior company and at this company. And again, making big impact in those arenas and still not really getting what I thought was the leverage around that for my career growth. I became a little bit frustrated, and the impetus to become an entrepreneur came from that curiosity about what's missing here, what's missing in me, as well as what's missing in this culture that I've put myself into, and why is it not working? What are we not teaching people about leaders and leadership? Because I have to lead myself, but
Yeah.
putting me into a pawn box isn't leadership either. And that question became, what is missing in leadership? And that's the catalyst that got me into being an entrepreneur because I finally left and broke out on my own. And that's where it started.
Fascinating, actually.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that you saw the lack of leadership pretty much from day one,
Mhm.
maybe even before officially day one. And but I love you owning your part of it too.
Mhm.
Because growth often happens with personal responsibility and accountability too. So what did you do? Did you create your own LLC right on the heels of that?
Oh, I did, but I didn't have clarity.
Well, yeah, I think
So
most people understand that.
I didn't have clarity on what I was doing. I did go out and even I established the LLC, but I was still functioning more like a contractor for a few years, and I earned a lot of money like that. I had existing relationships with clients. Amgen hired me for a few years. I earned double what I earned in consulting. I earned a hell of a lot of money for a little bit, and that was fun. And but I still didn't have clarity about what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to do something different about leadership, and I had to kind of rewire myself. I had to rewire myself not only in terms of having this broad consulting background to what was the niche that I was going to focus on and have clarity around that. And I had to navigate the personal journey. And
Mm,
my personal journey isn't one I would wish on anyone. It's not so straightforward and it's a little bit complex. It's not just about business. It was about my life. It was about my relationships, about who I was, how I believed in myself. There were two or three things that happened that crashed my entire belief systems. One was leaving PwC because I had not achieved there what I thought I was going to achieve, and that was a new thing for me. So I was faced with a little mortality, if you will. And
sure.
then I had to consider how I contributed to why I simply needed to leave and why I was so unhappy there. And I had been on a plane once with someone who actually said, "You don't know yourself very well, do you?" And that was an interesting question. This man, by the way, never told me his name, but we had the most insightful philosophical conversation that was also a catalyst for me leaving PwC. And I sought out on a journey. And along my journey, I fell in love with a man. We had a relationship breakup. That was the other catalyst of helping me really dig in to look at myself. And I spent over a decade working with a couple of different mentors, one in particular who introduced me to my own ego. And I cannot tell you the gift of that. And I was not an easy person for her to work with because I had a very strong ego and I knew what was right. I knew what was right. But at the same time, there was a part of me that felt like, why am I here after this? I had a beautiful relationship and I very much was in love with the man. He's a good man, but it broke up and I didn't understand why. Now, here's an interesting thing for you, Steve. There's a pattern between PwC and to this moment. The universe is giving me hardships intentionally to make me look at myself. That's the way I view it now. The universe taught it kind of had to break the ego to rebuild who I am so that I now know who I really am and can step forward into that space. And it wasn't as much fun in some of the instances back then, but today, my belief system, I know who I am. I know what I stand for. I know how to express myself and I know how to step forward. And I do have clarity, which to me is part of the missing element of what was missing in leadership is we don't teach leadership from knowing yourself and how you have clarity around that identity that you visibly and consciously choose to show up for the other people that you serve. And I think the clarity around that and doing it consciously and not just by I was good at it, which is helpful. It was helpful that I was initially good at some of those things, but I didn't know how to describe it. I didn't know how to claim what was different. And now I do. It's knowing the real you.
So I know this can get me in trouble, assuming.
You're okay.
However, I'm gonna give it a shot. And you may have alluded to it just a smidge there at the end, but like finding out who you are,
Mm,
what you've overcome, what
mm,
you've healed from, or still in the process of healing from.
mm.
I bet you that has helped you discover your niche and who you're going to help moving forward. Tell me if I'm wrong or right.
Spot on 100%.
And tell me who those people are.
Well, I'm working with entrepreneurs. I'm targeting the entrepreneurial market, not the corporate market. And I do that because I think the experience that I had is human, kind of agnostic from corporate. I think it's just
Mhm.
simply, and I think it's actually even more important if you're an entrepreneur or a small business owner, because you are your product. You may have a product or service, but at the end of the day, you are your product, you are your brand, you are your message. And if you don't know how to claim that with clarity and identity and step out in a space where you can communicate fully around that, then you're missing the huge part of what it is to be that leader in those spaces. And you're compromising how people can respond to you. It's like a tuning fork. When you know who you are, you've
Mhm.
operated a particular frequency and you attract people at that frequency and you get in sync. And that's how you lift each other. Your results magnetize and exponentially, whether rather than if you don't know who you are and you're operating at a different frequency than the people you're trying to connect with, then you cannibalize your results. And
Yeah.
so it's to me what I've learned on this process, and my process by no means would I on it or wish it on anyone. Yet I have so much honor and respect for the hard pains that I had to face and go through because we've only scratched the surface there, and we don't want to necessarily share the depth of that. We can because there was a moment where I really didn't know if I was going to get up off the ground, and it was rough. But
Well, let's go there for a couple minutes
okay.
because I know you expressed to me
Hmm.
how devastating that breakup was and
Hmm.
how it affected your worth.
Hmm.
Um,
It did.
just give us a little insight to how that affected you and how you rebounded from it.
Mm. So here's a quick Cliff Notes scenario for the listener. I had met a lovely man and we had a beautiful relationship. There was no logical reason necessarily for the breakup. Nobody cheated on each other, nobody broke any whatevers, but we did live in different locations. And I think when I was starting to really get serious about building my business, I was searching for clarity. And that's when I was digging into getting to know me. And I was really starting to ask some questions. And I don't think he wanted to go on that personal journey with me because he would have had to have asked himself questions that he wasn't ready to ask.
Mm,
And I think at the end of the day, that was the why. But the logical part of me, because I'm a smart woman and I have a lot of logic and analytical capability, was really asking, well, why are we breaking up? Why are we breaking up? And
yeah.
it made no sense to me at that time. And then here I am. We had had our final conversation of, I just want to move on. And I was crying my eyes out. I'm in my home and I didn't have anybody around me, which probably wasn't helpful at the moment, but I was in the muck. I was in the muck of it.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I was seriously asking some really devastating questions about if you had a love that was that beautiful and somebody just can leave it, what else is there in life? Like, you know, why are we even here if that's not
Mm.
enough? And my
Yeah.
entire sense of self and belief system was really crashing in that moment. And as a person, we each have our own belief systems around faith and that sort of thing. But I was sitting there on the ground, and my angels swooped in. And in my home, where it was just me, here was a voice loud as thunder. Holly, you and Dan are going to be okay. And there's something more important than romantic love. And this is something I want people to hear. There's something more important in romantic love where you're trying to seek your fulfillment from another person. Unconditional love is you love yourself unconditionally, you love the people in your life unconditionally, and the happenings of life don't falter, don't impact the love that that means. So your purpose and my purpose that I felt was coming to me in that moment was in leadership. When we actually learn how to unconditionally love as a leader in terms of what we're pouring into our business and how we serve people with what we're here to create and give into our community, into our clients, and pour from that place, your cup is never empty. Your cup is always full.
Mm.
That's where fulfillment comes into play. And I like the word fulfillment way better than being happy. I think happiness is an emotion that can kind of come and go, but fulfillment is a state of being that if you're operating from your cup is just full, there's a peace there, there's a knowing there, there's a solid, grounded, hmm, I've got this. That isn't about you, it's just a state of being. And all of that, all of that I use in my business in leadership coaching.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Happiness ebbs and flows.
Mhm,
Um, Contentment
mhm,
is where the peace is.
mhm,
Joy, gratitude, they're choices.
mhm. And they are choices. They are
Hmm.
choices of but there's a choice there's a mental choice, but there's a subconscious choice. It's more of a body choice as well. I think that's a whole different conversation, but when you get into nervous system regulation and understanding how it feels from here through your whole body so that you're embodying the contentment. You're not just trying to flip a switch. Oh, I have to be content. I have to be content. I have to be content. That's not the game. It's doing the work to actually let your body also feel the contentment.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah, that's so true. I mean, obviously, a very devastating time in your life,
mm,
but the lessons you learn from that have carried you through.
mm,
They've made you at a deep emotional place, a
mm,
place of loss, a place of grief.
mm,
It's thrust you into serving other people, and
mm,
I know you have a lot of exciting things,
mm.
well, presently and on the horizon. One of the ones that I wanted to talk to you about is because I know you're super excited about is high jump leadership method.
Yes.
So tell all of us what that is and who is the perfect candidate for such a thing.
Oh my goodness. I'm so proud and thank you for asking that. The high jump leadership method, everything we've been talking to is a part of it. Okay. So there are 4 steps to the high jump leadership method, and it is about know the real you, craft your authentic message, speak to lead, and message to market. So going back to the entrepreneur, the small business owner, you are your product, you are your brand, you are your message. But until we have clarity around what that is, and not clarity from the perspective of you went into Chat GPT and Chat GPT spit out some copy that you're like, oh, that sounds pretty good. I'm just going to go with it. I'm talking about a message that comes from here. Your whole soul embodies it, and it can change over time. I think life allows
Mhm.
us those evolution spaces because I also believe that personal journey is a continuous growth journey. It is like going to the gym. You have to keep building the muscle so you keep growing and staying healthy with that. But knowing the real you, embodying your authentic message, and learning how to speak that in a way that is in a meeting on a stage in front of 1,000 people, you're on a podcast or a show like this, you just let everything flow through you because you know it so well. It's just a piece of who you are. It's a piece of your DNA, and you're just articulating it. And so I work with entrepreneurs, I work with small business owners, professionals who are the face of their business to really understand what's under the hood, what's driving the show, know the real you, how to take that, understand what that means, and build that into a message that's not just telling a story. Here, we're kind of just telling a little bit of a story because it's an interview format. But if you actually were preparing to go speak in front of a group of people, you want to find the story that serves that audience. So we're wanting to take your authentic, what's happened to you, and show how you can move through that catalyst yourself, and how you're giving people the understanding that they can do it too. And then
Okay.
the third piece, because so many people do not like speaking, we'll talk about that here for a second, but it's how to speak to lead. So I mentioned the word that it's just channeling the message through you. You still have to have a system, and you still have to have a process and a formality of message per se to a certain degree, but it comes from a different way in how you present it. And in some cases, you don't even need those notes because it's such a part of the DNA. I've worked with several clients. One was a very small company here in Orange County as a dental company, and they had a new way of applying dentistry. It was with a laser technology. And the VP of finance and the CEO were looking to share a message with their shareholders. And the VP was one of my clients. So I'm working with her on how to speak in front of the camera. They were going to record it. They didn't even have an audience live in front of them. It was all just recorded. But oh my gosh, it's recorded and it's going to be out there in front of all these people, and they're going to have to see it. And what are the lawyers going to say, and how are they going to receive it? And am I going to say it just right? She was so wrapped up in that. If she and I were talking right here, literally the camera, the filming camera was right here, and I'm talking with her like I'm talking to you. She's relaxed, she's happy, she's smiling. Her energetic signature is very warm and welcoming and trustworthy. Trustworthy.
Uh,
The second she moved her head 1 degree and talked to the camera, the smile was gone. She stiffened up, and she became more monotone in effort. And so you could tell she wasn't really putting all of her into how she was speaking. And we had to work through a lot of that. And I hold a retreat with people. That's one of my retreats in my program, where we bring people together, and we're doing it in a very safe, no audience environment. Then we put the camera up and we stand up and we start talking. And the people who can't do that is so amazing. It's like 9 out of 10 people. So the speak to lead aspect of the program is really just learning to trust yourself and gain the confidence and gain the practice on how to stand in what you're saying and how you're saying it. And that can serve you in a meeting. It doesn't have to be speaking on a stage. It can be if I'm in a meeting and I'm the only woman in the room, a lot of women will get intimidated by that. Men might too. Can I speak up and ask my question, or am I going to interrupt? Well, who cares if you're interrupting? If you have a question, the more you're confident in what you're doing, you just kind of put it out there. It becomes a seamless part of the meeting. The energy flows, the tuning forks are in the same frequency, and it doesn't look odd. It just because your nature and your energy is in alignment with who your true identity is, and you're speaking with authentic truth and how you're asking a question. Oh, and the fourth piece, we haven't even gotten to the last piece. It's just message to market. So you're doing all of this, it needs to have a purpose. So you're doing internal transformation work with external outcomes being the goal. So we work with you to create visibility strategies that serve your goals and your mission. And that might be doing some marketing messaging, that might be putting together a speaker one sheet, that might be a few other tools, social media strategies, personal branding activity. But that's the system. It's being the leader you would follow, being you authentically all the time. So your product, your message, your brand shows up in a way that really moves people and trusts people with an authentic, energetic signature.
That's powerful. And I want to come back to that and close the loop on something on that piece. But I want to encourage everybody listening too, because Holly just, and she's so right, like 9 out of 10 people fear public speaking.
Mhm.
And I'm sure the same percentage, if not close to it, is afraid to talk on camera. And I'm just going to be vulnerable here for a minute. Like I was working with someone not even 8 months ago
Mhm.
and was terrified just to do a video in my house.
Mhm.
And he was encouraging me to do easy interview swaps with people that we had in our network, people that we felt comfortable with. I was terrified of it. And I speak every Sunday. And so what I'm trying to say with all that is it's all about getting comfortable. It's all about repetition. And even I even know as I say that to you, you're halfway tuning me out. But I know there's also a few of you listening that are looking to make a leap similar to what Holly is describing. And it really does get easier. It really does get more comfortable. It does become second nature. It becomes like riding a bike.
Mhm.
Not that we don't always have work to do and get better, but it really you really can do this with someone, giving you a couple of pointers. Anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. If I can do it, anybody can do it. You can do it. Um,
Shoot,
but
I,
but
I I started my first time I had to speak in front of people. I was 21 and I'm in that electrical equipment space and I'm having to talk to 45-year-old men and up and I'm 21. So
yeah,
I'm in front of people I've never spoken before, and I'm like, oh, and now I don't even think about it. It's because it's not about me. It's not
yeah.
about me. It's not, do I look good enough? Am I going to say it right? How are they going to receive it? What are they going to think of me? You take all of that out and you rewire that, and you show up because you got something, a purpose that you want, a value that you need to deliver.
Yeah, I love that too. And it's not about being perfect. That's why I like going live. You don't know. I don't know that one of my kids isn't going to knock on the door behind me. I don't know that the internet's not going to go out. I've had that happen before where somebody else's internet went out and they had to log back in and in the middle of a live. I'm like, you know what? That's real life.
Yeah.
Um, so okay. So what I love about this is it's become a keynote, it sounds like, but it's a course, but you also give it at retreat. So it sounds like it's very versatile, which I love. But I also know that there's something else that you're excited about. At least I think there is. That's right around the corner that you'd be willing to share with us, or no? Like is there? But let me rephrase that question. Is there something right around the corner that you're excited about that maybe you could give us a sneak peek to?
I would love to. I just created something called the Are You Real quiz. It's like, are you real or are you
Mm,
a and it's tongue in cheek. And I'm going to gift it to your audience actually. So why don't we do that?
okay.
So let me tell you what this is. This is a really quick down and dirty quiz that I invite people to take just to be playful with how are they responding to a situation. Some of the situations are personal, some of them are professional. And it's like, if I were in that situation, where's my response initially coming from? It's not necessarily what you do. It's like, what's that very first instinct on how I might feel about a situation? And I'll give you a sneak preview of one of the questions because I think it's fun. You're shopping with your partner, your friend, or your spouse, and they're trying on a pair of jeans and you just don't like them.
Oh boy.
Okay, are we going to step in that gold mine or not? So the question, it's like, are you going to just say, hey, they look great if you want them, great, or are you going to tell them, hey, this pair might look a little bit better? Now, either answer It's not right or wrong, right? It's not right or wrong. It's just, I want you to be aware of what your initial response is and what are you choosing to do in terms of how you show up. Because if you're aware of the response or the reaction that you're having in that moment, then that's the first step in self-awareness and being able to make a different choice that serves your highest purpose and your highest good. And and so that's what it's about. The quiz starts there. And the cool thing about the quiz, not only do you take the quiz and it gives you a quick little output, but you get a self-study guide for free. There's no obligation with any of this, by the way.
Cool.
And the self-study guide gives a little bit of teaching and gives you some exercises where you can actually take a look and say, well, how am I reacting? We've all been in a meeting where
Yeah.
we've gotten frustrated with our people not doing what they said they were going to do, or we're not on target on our timelines, or we're missing something, our client's pissed off about something. We've all been in those meetings, and we either function from an energetic signature of anger and fear and frustration, or we function from a position and an energetic signature of, okay, well, we're present. This is what I understand the situation to be. Let's make the best decision we can now to move forward. Those are two different energies, and you want to be conscious of which one you're choosing in both your personal and your professional life.
Ah, I love that. I have not taken it myself, so I look forward to that. Now on a humorous side of that, see, I've been married 30 years, so I know not to go shopping. Okay. Wisdom hopefully comes with age. And if you happen to be in that situation, I got to make this phone call right now before that question gets asked. I'm mostly joking,
There's
but
always strategies, right?
yeah, right.
Yeah,
Because you're right. That
I'm personally looking for the guy that'll go shopping with me, and we just make that a fun part of our relationship. So
it can happen. I'm sure it can happen. Probably early on. But no. I look forward to the quiz, and so we're gonna we have a URL link that we're gonna pop into the comments afterwards, so everybody can have access to that. That's very generous of you. Thank you for doing that, Holly.
yeah, and if you're really in and anxious to get it to, it's super easy. Areyourrealquiz.com. So there you go. But it'll be in,
That is
yeah.
that is super easy.
Mhm.
Um, Gosh, tell everybody where they can find you if they want to learn more about the work you're doing.
So I'm relaunching the website, but it should be up in a couple of days. Highjumpleadership.com. So give me a day or two for that. But you can go to LinkedIn. LinkedIn's probably the best place to really see what I'm doing. I also am on Instagram, Facebook. On Instagram, it's Hollie Mileski, HOLLIE MILESKI. On same thing for LinkedIn. For Facebook, I have a High Jump Leadership page. I'm also on Twitter. It's still Twitter. I'm sorry. It's High Jump Leader on Twitter, and even on TikTok. So I start with for those of you, here's a little free tip for people that are out there. If you're looking to up your visibility, you can do a video on TikTok for that audience. You can program TikTok to push that into Instagram for that audience, and Instagram can push it to Facebook for that audience. So you have to do it once. So I utilize that strategy from time to time.
I should probably listen to you, although I don't use TikTok much and I don't use Instagram at all. But I do. The strategy is good. She is exactly right. That
Mhm.
is how it works.
Mhm.
Um, and we'll put those links that Holly just described for her socials. We'll put that in the show notes here in just a few minutes too when we're done. Um, Holly, I'm not surprised. You are definitely warm, definitely very talented, and trying to think of a new word. Give me just a second because there's one on the tip of my tongue. Um, Very heart-centered,
Mhm.
very compassionate. That's coming shining through.
Thank you.
And I love the work you're doing. I love the person you are. And I want nothing but the best for you. You come shining through here with our time. And I just want you to know what you're doing matters. And I want the viewers to hear through Holly's story that she's experienced a lot of highs. She's experienced a lot of success in a lot of different industries. She's done well. She's done well in the corporate world. She's doing well as an entrepreneur. She's got exciting things coming up for sure. As is, and she's in the middle of some exciting things. However, she's also fought through some extreme valleys,
Mhm.
and she's still here to tell about it.
Mhm.
And it'd be a shame for any of us, including Holly, to go through those really, really tough times and not learn the lessons and not come out a more well-rounded, developed, growing person. She's
Mhm.
done that.
Mhm.
And at the center of all that is her story wasn't over yet.
Mhm.
It felt like it. It felt like it when she was at her bottom on the floor of her own house
Mhm.
and didn't know why it didn't make sense.
Mhm.
But you know what I've learned? It always makes sense, but only in hindsight. See, it makes sense to her now.
Mhm.
So we have to hold on a little longer to get to that point where we can see it in hindsight. And
Mhm.
it's not easy, but you are worthy of love, respect, and success, and your story's not over yet. Holly, it's been my treasure to get to know you and to interview you. Thank you for being with us.
Mhm. You just warmed my heart with everything you just shared. And if I can leave your audience with any one thing, it is never give up. And the, if you happen to be one of those people going through that valley, I know what it feels like. Oh, it hurts. And when you find somebody, if you have people in your life that can't be there with you during that, don't don't be a part of their lives. I'm just gonna that would be one suggestion I would have for you. Make sure you find people that will believe in you when you don't believe in yourself. Find those people. And every day, start rewiring the belief systems. Start understanding and reminding yourself that you are here for a reason. You
Mhm.
have a purpose and you have a goal. Oh, I'm sorry I'm crying, but this is real stuff. This is the me.
Yeah, it's good.
I love what I do professionally, but at a human level, you are worthy and you are worth every single piece. And we get to choose. We get to choose whether we want to get up and we get to choose whether we don't want to get up. And if you have a day where you can't get up, it's okay. Everything comes in the timing that should be coming to you. And trust that. That's what I would leave people with.
Those are wise words right there.
Yeah.
I think it's Mel Robbins that says if you wake up today and only have 40% to give and you give 40%, guess what? You gave 100%.
That's right.
So all you can do is all you can do some days, right?
It
And
is.
so and so you matter. And last thing I'll say, and Holly's already said it, so I don't need to touch on it too much, is your circle does matter.
Hmm.
You're not going to get through this journey alone. We're created for community.
Hmm.
And if you don't have mentors, coaches,
Hmm.
friends that love you, that know your history, that know what your dreams are, that will
Hmm.
hold you accountable too,
Oh,
in a good way, in a loving way, in a way that like you're settling. No, you told me you were dreaming for this. If you
yeah.
don't have that in your circle, then you have a cage
Hmm.
and you need to reshape it into a healthy circle that supports you. You matter. You're worth that circle. I appreciate each one of you. Thank you again, Holly.
Hmm.
Till next time, guys. Take care. God
Much
bless.
love. Much love.